Hey everyone. So, geography seems pretty simple, doesn't it? You've got your continents, you've got your oceans. But what if I told you that our world is just jam-packed with these incredible paradoxes and little quirks that completely mess with our basic sense of how things should work? Buckle up, because we're about to explore some of the weirdest glitches in our planet's system.
Okay, to kick things off, let's just dive right in. We're going to visit a real place on Earth where our whole understanding of time and space just completely falls apart. It's like a real-life glitch in the Matrix. So let me ask you a question. How far away is tomorrow? Now, I know it sounds like some kind of riddle, right? But I promise you, there is a literal geographical answer to this, and it is incredibly strange. And the answer to that question is right here, in the middle of the Bering Strait. Meet the Diomede Islands. You've got Little Diomede on the left, which is part of the USA, and Big Diomede on the right, which belongs to Russia. So, take a look. Any guesses on how far apart they are?
Get this. They are just 2.4 miles apart. That's it. Less than 4 kilometers. On a good day, you can literally see one from the other. No problem. I mean, you could probably swim it if you were really brave and didn't mind ridiculously cold water. They're practically next-door neighbors. But, and this is where your brain's going to start to hurt a little bit, despite being close enough to see each other, they are 21 hours apart in time. No, that is not a typo. 21 hours.
So how in the world is that possible? Well, if it's 9 in the morning on a Tuesday on Little Diomede, it's already 6 in the morning on Wednesday on Big Diomede. See, the international date line runs smack dab through that tiny little gap of water between them. This means you can literally stand on American soil, look across the water, and see tomorrow over in Russia. Wild, right?
Now, this little time-traveling island trick isn't just a fun piece of trivia. It actually points to a much bigger, much more fundamental problem. The maps we use every day to see our world are, in a lot of ways, basically lying to us. You know that warning they print on car mirrors? Objects in mirror are closer than they appear? Well, yeah, world maps kind of need one of those too. We glance at a map and just assume it's a perfect-to-scale picture of our planet, but it's not. Not even close. It's more like a distorted funhouse mirror. Let's just take the most famous example of this. Greenland versus Africa. On just about any standard map you'll find, they look pretty similar in size, right? But in the real world, Africa is more than 14 times larger than Greenland. I mean, that's not a small little mistake. That's a massive distortion that totally warps how we see the world. So why? Why is it so wrong? Well, the culprit's name is the Mercator projection. It was designed hundreds of years ago for one specific purpose, helping sailors navigate. To make their lives easier, it keeps the shapes of countries accurate. But to flatten a round globe onto a square piece of paper, it has to stretch everything near the North and South poles out like crazy. It was a useful life for sailors, but for the rest of us, it's just plain confusing. Okay, so now that we know our trusty flat map is basically a flawed model, let's dig into some of the planet's other bizarre exceptions that just refuse to be drawn easily. Get ready for a little bit of what I like to call geographical inception.
All right, you got to stay with me on this one because it's a bit of a journey. So in the Philippines, there's a big island called Luzon. Simple enough. But on that island, there's a lake, Lake Taal. And inside that lake, there's another island called Volcano Island. And on that island, there's another lake, the main Crater Lake. And, yep, you guessed it, inside that lake is one more tiny island called Vulcan Point. It is the world's largest island within a lake on an island within a lake on an island. Phew.
And these kinds of geographical Russian nesting dolls aren't just weird quirks. They have real political names. You've got enclaves, which are territories totally surrounded by another state, and you've got exclaves, which are bits of a country that are cut off from the main part. These terms just go to show how unbelievably complex borders can become, creating these little puzzles all over the world. And speaking of complex borders, let's take a look at how the political lines we draw on a map can completely bend our idea of what a country even is. All right, quick trivia for you. Which country has the most time zones? I bet your first thought is Russia, right? I mean, it's enormous, and it does span an incredible 11 time zones. But nope, Russia is not the winner. The correct answer is France. France officially has 12 different time zones, and you're probably thinking, how is that even possible? Well, the secret isn't about the size of France that you see in Europe. It's about its global reach. It's a legacy of its colonial history, which left it with all these little territories scattered all around the planet. From French Polynesia in the Pacific to French Guiana in South America, the French clock is always ticking somewhere different. And hey, it's not just time zones. Some countries just break the rules on the whole capital city thing. Take South Africa. It doesn't have one capital, it has 3. The government is split across the country. The administrative branch is in Pretoria, the parliament meets in Cape Town, and the top court is in Bloemfontein.
So all these strange borders, these time warps, these weird distortions, they're really just snapshots in time. Because the biggest secret that the map keeps from us is that it's not static. Not at all. The map is alive.
You are actually moving right now. I know you can't feel it, but the continent you're on is drifting across the planet's surface at about the same speed your fingernails grow. It's super slow, obviously, but over millions and millions of years, this continental drift completely remakes the face of the Earth.
And this isn't just ancient history we're talking about. It is happening as we speak. Right now, in Eastern Africa, there's a huge crack in the Earth's crust called the East African Rift, and it is slowly tearing the continent in two. Scientists figure that in about 10 million years, that rift will fill up with ocean water, splitting Africa apart and creating a whole new ocean.
And this really brings us to the ultimate point here. The world map that we think of as so permanent and reliable, it's not just flawed and full of weird exceptions. It's temporary. It is just one single frame in a movie that has been playing for billions of years.
So if our world is constantly being redrawn by these massive forces, it really leaves you with one big question, doesn't it? What will the map look like next? What new continents or new oceans will exist millions of years from now? It makes you realize that geography isn't just a set of facts to memorize. It's an epic, ongoing story that's still being written. Pretty amazing to think about. Thanks for tuning in.